let's start with the reactions on the decisions has been taken by the Pakistani government on NATO resumptions of NATO supply to Afghanistan. The streets are angry. People are not satisfied with the so-called apology by the Americans. In your opinion, this apology is considerable, and is it approved by you as political and defense analyst?
Yes, you see, what I feel is that this apology is neither here nor there, especially so when there are no guarantees that the Americans will not undertake drone attacks and ground attacks on our posts. So I think this is just an eyewash. That is what the public says. And because we have a bitter experience with the NATO countries, 50 of them, we have been giving them all sorts of helps, ground facilities, air facilities and everything. And at the end of the day, they have been stabbing us. They've sent their spy network, Raymond Davis and other people working within Pakistan. They have been sending frequently drones, even after Salala attack, constantly, especially after Chicago conference. And then they have undertaken the ground attacks. About a week, 10 days back, they just killed our people, not only killed them, they just slaughtered them. And Pakistani people now feel that this government is a weak government, Pakistani government. They were under pressure, so they yielded to that pressure with no outcome for the betterment of Pakistan.
There are reports that says that the American government has promised the Pakistani government, its counterpart, to pay $1 billion as a compensations. In return, the resumption should be given, and then the Americans should be given the access to NATO, to the supplies. In your opinion, the government has undermined and has not really defended the national security, because everybody was thinking that the NATO supply resumption's decision is a national security issue.
Yeah, I don't really know whether the American government has promised some monetary aid to Pakistan in lieu of what they have got. But even if they have done it, I don't think so that it's a bargain in favor of Pakistani interests, because their transit facilities will continue. What would happen? Tomorrow again, they haven't said that they'll not use drones against our people. Yes. And they have also not given an undertaking that those people who were involved in that attack on Salala post will be taken to task, they'll be court-martialed. They have not given us an assurance that they will not repeat it again. They have not given an understanding about Pakistan's role in post-America Afghanistan. They have not given any guarantees that the Indians will have an enhanced role in Afghanistan, because we have been fighting wars with them. And above all, when will this misery come to an end? Has the Pakistani government asked the American government as to what is your timeline? Are you really serious getting out from Afghanistan in 2014? People say they are not going to get out. They are going to keep those bases. They will keep about 50,000 strong army, which will be under the garb of training teams, and they will stay on here because their interest is not Afghanistan. Actually, their interest is the Central Asian republics and the Caspian Sea basin. And now when even for the reverse transit facilities, for de-induction of their forces, some people are saying that they might use Central Asian republics routes and may keep certain forces in those areas so that they then have an hold there. So this is all confusing. What I say is, basically drones are not issue, transit facility is not an issue. The fundamental issue is a breached trust and a gap between the perceptions of America and Pakistan. They doubt us and they sell your army and your ISI, they are supporting the militants, which is very wrong, because Pakistan has sacrificed human lives and given them airspace and ground facilities and everything. So even if some compensation has been promised, it is peanuts.
This is the real point here, where you just mentioned the interest, the clashes of interest and the mistrust between the two countries, the Caspian Sea and the Central Asians, and all this scenario that you just talked about. But now there are reports that the 5,000 containers, which is already in lineup in the Pakistani borders, which contains heavy equipments. The decisions came by the government that these equipments will not be transferred there, but they are not talked of these equipments, which is already inside the Pakistani border. And the report says that this equipment, if it reaches Afghanistan, that could be used against Pakistan and its interests, and on the long term, they're targeting the nuclear arsenals of Pakistan, which Americans and the Jews, basically they are targeting this.
Yeah, that is the point. You see, the public wants clarifications on these points. There was a joint session of the parliament, they gave certain points, none of them, we don't know whether those points are being honored or they are not being honored. And secondly, these containers will go, you say lethal weapons will not be taken, let's say. How will you ensure that doesn't happen? And how will you ensure that all those weapons which are already in will be de-inducted? And then thirdly, we have implications. You see, American interest is to win a war in Afghanistan in the immediate future. Our interest is to have a peaceful Afghanistan in the post-America scenario in the South Asia. We have to live with them. You can't change geography and history. But the Americans want to show some results in the election year to the American public and tell them that this is what we are doing. They go kill people, hellfire missiles, drones, tanks, helicopter attacks and everything. So it is there that our interests are not converging. We tell them that it will be even in your interest if you give us peace, long time peace. The President of the United States of America during his presidential campaign had said that if in the South Asian region you want peace, you will have to also address Kashmir flashpoint. But they're not talking about Kashmir and Palestine and other things. And they are just here to kill Al-Qaeda, which has vanished to disappear to Somalia, Yemen and all over the world. So how do you ensure that? And you can't solve political issues with the barrel of the gun. You have to sit together, convince other people, listen to their viewpoint, and then find out a political solution. That is what we are saying. That is what is worrying the Pakistani nation, that the government may sign some pact and tell them, they go, okay, go ahead. Like General Pervez Musharraf gave them everything. Yes. They asked for 7 points, he said, okay, 9 points, sanctioned. As they say, they asked for milk and he said, take away the cow or the buffalo also. So that is where people are worried. Now this government is also weak. It's a coalition government. It's not a majority government. They are again in the election year. Yes. And they are under extreme pressure. Their main worry is economy, which they have really, it is in shambles. So people are worried that they may not sacrifice our national interest for this. I, for one, am convinced that these transit facilities, even if you give them, yes, and you tell them we don't charge you a penny, they are not going to tell you, you are good boys, you have done your job, okay, we will look after your interests. They will tomorrow create another pretext and another volley of drones will come and kill our innocent people.
Let me touch upon the positions of the military establishment on this issue, since it's a strategic decision has been taken by the government. And do you think the military establishment has backed the government, or it is opposing the government on these decisions? And if it is opposing, do you think it will be sort of the conflict between the two establishments will arise in the near future? The second part of the questions, Taliban has threatened to attack the line all over Pakistan. What is the guarantee? Do you think the security of these lines can be arranged by the government or by the army?
You see, in a democratic setup, political decisions are taken by the political governments. Yes. Although they have the inputs from all the agencies, the state agency, the finance people, if it involves some compensation, the home ministry, the foreign office and everything. And I don't think so that the army will have a different viewpoint. They might have fed them with everything that they wanted to say. But it is at the end of the day, the chief executive and the parliament which has to take the final decision. You are right when you say that when you open this transit facilities, you will attract a criticism from the masses from Pakistan, which is there, you can see that. Secondly, it is not a good news for the Afghan Talibans also. They'll say Pakistan again falling in line in sending weapons to us, and those weapons will be used against our people. So if they are not happy, the Pakistani Taliban are already waiting in wings to really deliver within Pakistan, even against the wishes of the Afghani Talibans, because they look for a pretext, and these Pakistani Talibans are supported by the foreign agencies. They are financed, they are armed, they are provided intelligence, and their movements are covered. So that is why they come in. You see, you have seen that even from Afghanistan they are crossing borders and attacking our posts manned by the combat army. They need intelligence, they need logistics, they need weapons, they need money, they need training, they need planning. Who is doing for that? These Talibans can't do it. So therefore, when they come inside, and those attacks will continue within Pakistan, we will suffer. And the Americans have given no guarantee that they will not attack from that side, so we will suffer from both ends. Ground and air attacks from the Americans and also from within the country. So it's not a good omen for Pakistan. Yeah. Although we personally feel it will not be right to really skip this point, that we want good relations with the United States of America. It is in our interest. It is Americans' interest. We want good relations with every neighbor, even India. And we have said that we must open up with Russia, with more relations with China. This will neutralize this external pressure on Pakistan. So we hope that with President Putin coming here, maybe he is also planning a visit to Pakistan, Pakistani government should open up. Because for the last 64 years we have seen with the Americans that we have suffered. Right from 50s when they flew U-2 spy aircrafts, and India remained non-aligned. Today the biggest arms supplier of India is the United States of America. They have changed that way. We must not go into another lap and go into the Russian fold totally, but we must have better relations with all the superpowers and remain non-aligned and work for the prosperity of Pakistani people.
Let me touch upon the point of securing the lines. How do you think that this line could be secured within the given circumstances you just mentioned?
Yeah, this is very difficult. You see, it's a long route. And obviously when they go and destroy these containers, they destroy our own property. These containers are owned by Pakistani poor drivers. They kill them. We lose our lives here. They damage our infrastructure. So you can protect them at nodal points, at threatened areas. But you cannot right from Karachi to Turkham border. It is very difficult. They can surveil. But if the Americans don't want to pay a penny, then there is no air surveillance. There are no other mobiles moving around to protect them. And this is very damaging for Pakistan also. They will have to do something for this.